Hey guys, before I get into this video, click the link in the description, and pretty much all the Total War games are a massive sale, like massive sale. Total War Warhammer is 75% off for £9.99 at the moment. Total War Warhammer 2 is 25% off. Also like Rome 2 Total War 67% off. All the DLCs are 50% off. It's incredible. Attila 75% off. Shogun 2, just the whole collection of Shogun 2 and all its DLC 78% off. This is an insane medieval, Empire, all them are on sale. Basically, all the Total War games are on sale. Click the link in the description. Go get them now. You get these incredible deals. It's amazing. Just, I do it now. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Love you. It's been quite some time since the initial release of Shogun Total War, the very first game from Creative Assembly in the Total War franchise, back in 2000. But 18 years later, the series has evolved massively, going through so many differences and changes, not necessarily in the time setting and period, but the gameplay and mechanics, and of course its fanbase. And one of the biggest changes that Total War has done was bringing in the Warhammer setting. What effect has that had on Total War? Today I'm going to be going over whether Warhammer had more advantages or disadvantages for the Total War franchise. Did Warhammer ruin Total War? Now these are two massive franchises. Games Workshop I think was founded in the 1970s, and Warhammer has become the biggest tabletop miniatures game of all time. It is so popular, and I've even got some over in the corner. I used to collect 40k back in the day. I started with the Eldar when I first started off, then I went on to Space Marines, but now I've got some Age of Sigmar, and this was all because of Total War Warhammer. That game really changed the way that two audiences could come together. I was uninterested in fantasy Warhammer until I played Total War Warhammer. I've got a lot of unpainted models there, and I've used up a lot of money. So screw you, Total War Warhammer, you made me spend money that I didn't need to spend. But nevertheless, it's an important point. The fact that we had two already established fan bases here. Total War being probably the biggest RTS in historical gaming to date, the series has expanded so much throughout the years, with various installments going from Shogun to Medieval to Rome to even Napoleon and Empire. There's so many different things coming together, and of course we have the Three Kingdoms coming out very soon in the near future. In 2015, Total War Warhammer was released. Now this came with a lot of skepticism but excitement as well. From the Warhammer community that had been built up over the decades, they had a new experience. Some of them had never played a Total War game before, but it brought them into the Total War franchise. On the other hand, Total War players that either didn't know much about Warhammer or had not played it or seen it for a long time like me, then got back into playing the tabletop war game after that. Seeing all the new units, the whole fantasy around it really brought you into the immersive world of Warhammer. And it was different. We'd been going so long in the Total War franchise having these historical games. Yeah, they were great. I absolutely love the Rome and Medieval games. They're probably my favourite. But it was getting a little bit on the stale side, I have to be completely honest. Total War was becoming more and more of an Assassin's Creed, the same game copied and pasted into different time eras. Of course, it adds a bit more when you have different time eras such as Rome versus Napoleon, because it has whole new mechanics with muskets versus hand-to-hand combat. These add very different types of gameplay just because of the time period, but on the whole there was a lot of repetition between the Total War games at this point until Warhammer came along. When it was announced that the Warhammer franchise would be coming to Total War, of course the skepticism was, how are they going to pull off fantasy? Spells and flying creatures going everywhere. This is going to be something pretty hard to do, but I think it's safe to say that they pulled it off pretty well. And not only did the reactions from people show it, but the numbers also show it. The initial Total War Warhammer was the fastest selling Total War of all time. I think it sold something like 500,000 copies in the first week or few weeks or so. It was incredible. Nothing had been like this in the Total War franchise for quite some time, and it really refreshed it for people. Now this was not just because it was a refresh for the Total War franchise fans, but it was also bringing the two communities together. It had double the audience that a normal Total War game would have, and I think this massively benefited. And you can see the benefits on this with the future and the roadmap that Creative Assembly have planned out for us. We've already got Total War Warhammer 1, then we've got Total War Warhammer 2, bit later, which caused a little bit of controversy, I have to be honest. It had some negative impacts on the community. When Warhammer 2 was actually announced, people were getting a bit annoyed that there wasn't a historical title, that they'd gone straight into Warhammer 2, but they did say that when they announced Total War Warhammer 1, so they said there's going to be 3 games in the franchise. So we're going to have Total War Warhammer 3 later on. And it has boosted the sales for Total War massively. It has put this game out there not only in the historical gaming community, which I have to say is a bit of a niche. Total War is one of those games that has tried to push the historical gaming community Duty out into the mainstream a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it's still more of a niche compared to other games such as Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield, and all those things. Yet Warhammer is only pushing it further out into more of the mainstream, bringing the bigger audience in all the time. And I know I've just been talking a lot about what has been good for the Total War series from Warhammer, and that's because there has been so many advantages. I think the only negative to actually Warhammer coming into the Total War franchise is some people have been annoyed that we've got so much Warhammer and not enough historical Total War. But now we have the Three Kingdoms Total War, I think people are starting to settle down. So when that is released, after we'll probably get Warhammer 3, and then people will be on the road. But what could come after that? Are they going to do more Warhammer games, or are they going to go into a different time era? Maybe we're going to go into 40k. That'll be interesting. I know that'll be a bit harder to do, but they've done it before. They know how they can do different time eras with different weapons and different playstyles, so I don't think it's all out of the books. But this brings on to a massive advantage, and I think probably the biggest thing that Warhammer has brought to Total War, and this pretty much overshadows any negative for me that any people might have about Warhammer bringing it to Total War, and this is Mortal Empires. Now, if anyone doesn't know, Mortal Empires is if you have Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2, it brings them together. Warhammer 1 focuses more on the orcs. You've got the orcs, you've got the dwarfs, you've got, of course, the Empire, all the people in that area of the land. Warhammer 2 focuses more on the Skaven, you get the Lizard Kings and the High Elves. They're all brought together in this. It brings one massive map together, and it is a free update if you have both the games. And this has never been done in a Total War game before. It is probably the best bang for your buck that you can get in a game. The amount of content that you have there is incredible. This massive world that you're able to interact with each other, all the races that you're able to use that all have their different playstyles and different advantages and disadvantages to each other, all in one game. And Mortal Empires can be done in pretty much any other Total War game from now on, and I think that because of the success of that, that is what is going to happen. Creative Assembly have seen this, they know they can do this now, and I think this is going to only ever expand the Total War fan base and of course the Total War game. So did Warhammer ruin Total War? My god, no. I feel like the Warhammer games for me are some of my favourite Total War games, and I did not think they would be. I thought that they would be meh, alright, or I wouldn't really be bothered about them. But my god, the Warhammer games have added such a new dynamic, having flying beasts, having these massive monsters, having different gameplay styles because of the new fantasy era has really refreshed the series for me, and it's brought me back into it in a big way. And because of this, Warhammer has only boosted Total War into the future. Like I said, it's refreshed the series for me, and I think it probably has for a lot of other people too. But what are your thoughts on this? Has Warhammer bettered the Total War series, or has it pulled it back a bit for you? I know many people are massive fans of the historical Total Wars, because that's what they've always been. But I think that the historical Total Wars from now on are going to be so much better because of the experimentation and the risks that CA took in introducing Warhammer into the franchise in a fantasy setting into what was a majoritively historical game series. But that's my thoughts on the subject. Thank you to my Discord for suggesting me this topic on whether Warhammer ruined Total War or expanded it for the better. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you stick around the channel. If you have any ideas for topics for me to cover in the future, make sure you leave them in the comments or come on my Discord and then at me and be like, hey, talk about this. Thank you guys for watching, and until then, I will see you in the next one.